To the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for May 6th, sorry. Seems like March was a long enough month. We didn't need it any longer. Thank you for the commission. Thank you for staff. As you can see, we've done a little bit of social distancing. I appreciate everybody in the audience as well. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Rose, if you could lead us in that, I'd appreciate it. States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Vice Chair. Next item we have is the approval of the study session minutes of Wednesday, March 18th. Been a while since we've been here. Do I have a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Roll call. Thank you. Sorry.
Chairman Human,
Here.
Vice Chair Rose,
Here.
Commissioner Clove,
Here.
Commissioner Kimball,
Here.
Commissioner Eberly,
Here.
Commissioner Pical,
Here.
Commissioner Flanders.
Here. Great, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, now we're on item 3, approval of the minutes. Do I have any changes to item A, study session minutes of Wednesday, March 18th? If not, then I will request a motion from somebody.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the minutes for the study session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Commissioner Klob. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So we have item B, regular meeting minutes of Wednesday, March 18th. Do I have any corrections or do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from Wednesday, March 18th.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from the vice chair. Any comments? All those in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item is our annual Planning Commission business meeting, which is election of officers. Do we have a motion for chair? We'll start with chair and then we'll do vice chair.
I'd like to make a motion, Rick Human to continue as the chairman of the Planning Commission.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
I have a second. So any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next office is the vice chair. I'll make the motion to nominate David Rose as our vice chair for the next year. Okay, I have a second. Any other further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Okay. To the audience, we had a study session prior to this meeting. We will have one motion for the items that will stay on consent. Item A will go to action, which is tree land. We have quite a few speakers for that. I'm going to ask staff to read the other items into the record. I also have some speaker cards for item B that I will read into the record just because I have the speaker cards. But the item will stay on consent as a continuance. So, staff?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The following items are on the consent agenda. Item B, PLH 20002, Everlasting Services, which is a request to rezone from planned area development to amended planned area development with a preliminary development plan to allow the development of long-term rehabilitation care facility. The 4.8 acre site is located to the west of the cul-de-sac of the North Enterprise Place, which is north and west of the northwest corner of McClintock and Chandler Boulevard. And this item is requested to be continued to the June 3rd Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Item C is PLH 19-0009, Dobson and Pecos Development. This is a request for approval to rezone from agriculture to planned area development for a hotel and a mix of medical, commercial, and office uses with a preliminary development plan approval for site layout and building design for a hotel, as well as mid-rise overlay to allow buildings up to 90 feet in height. And the 19-acre site is located at the northwest corner of Pecos and Dobson Road. And this one is requested to be continued to the June 17th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Item D, PLH 20-0015, Move Human Performance Center, is a request for use permit approval to continue a sports therapy and training facility located in a planned area or planned light industrial zoning district with a planned area development overlay, I1/PAD. The business is located at 375 East Elliott Road, Suite 7, which is east and southeast corner, or east of the southeast corner of Arizona Avenue and Elliott Road. Item E, American Medical Associates, is a request, it's PLH 20-0016. It's a request for zoning amendment approval for an amendment to the planned area development to allow neighborhood commercial, C1, and community commercial, C2 land uses, zoned planned area development. The address is 1915 East Chandler Boulevard, which is located at the southwest corner of Chandler Boulevard and Cooper Road. Item F is PLH 20-0009, Improv Mania marquee sign. It's a request for preliminary development plan approval to allow one changeable copy sign. The 7,500 square foot site fronts on the west side of Arizona Avenue, 200 feet to the south of Chicago Street. And then finally, the item G is a request to cancel the May 20th, 2020 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the items on the consent agenda.
Okay. Thank you, David. Just for the record, we have quite a few emails on item B, but I do have some people that have given me cards. I'm gonna just read them into the record. Kurt Gerhart is against the project, incompatible use under airport approach by all FAA and state guidelines. Joseph, can't read the last name real well, but is against the project, not compatible with Stellar Airport. Daniel Horkins is also opposed to the item. And then Michael Lane, residential of the parcel is incompatible with Stellar Airport, including long-term residential care. So those are the items that are, and that item is being continued to the June 3rd meeting, which will give the applicant and the neighborhood to work through that issue and stuff. So are there any questions of staff on any of the items that we have on consent? To the audience, we'll be voting with one motion on the items that were read in by staff. Do I have anybody in the audience that would like to speak on any of the items that were presented on the consent agenda? Okay, if none, what's the commission's pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Pekow. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Kimball with two far ends. So any other further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, item A is tree land. So staff, if you want to make a short presentation, I think we had a pretty good presentation in the study session. And then I'm actually going to go to the audience and ask on the speaker cards to see what the concerns are with the project, and we'll let the applicant talk to the commission and talk about the items. Lauren?
Right, thank you, Chair. All right, so item A, PLH 190064 and PLT 190059, tree land. This is a request for a rezoning from AG1 to planned area development for single-family residential, as well as a preliminary development plan for approval for subdivision layout and preliminary plat for an 86-lot single-family subdivision. The subject site is located at the southwest corner of Chandler Heights Road and 124th Street. It's approximately 25.1 acres large. Let's see, I'm going to briefly go over this. We talked about it during study session. The development before you is for subdivision layout. Housing product would be back at a later date before you. There were stipulations added stating that single-story homes shall be restricted to the lots along the south property line, as well as 4 lots along the southeast corner after conversations with an adjacent neighbor through the neighborhood meeting and conversations afterwards. That is a stipulation under the zoning. There are 4 different types of lot sizes within the development. Concerns that planning staff is aware of is the design of 124th Street. At this time, the city has heard that the city engineer could consider the deferment of 124th Street since the subdivision does not touch or does not have access to 124th Street. We are still in the process of working out what that looks like. Currently, with the plat, there shows how that could be designed if the road was to be built. The other concerns neighbors may have this evening are with regards of the irrigation ditch, of the design of it and the future of it. City is not able to get involved because it's a private matter between property owners. And with that, planning staff is making a recommendation of approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any more.
Any questions of staff? Okay, we're going to do this a little different. I'm going to let the speakers come up and talk about their concerns, the project, and I'll have the attorney come up and talk after that. Kevin Wheeler. You can state your name and address for the record, please. When you come up, you have 3 minutes. Clerk, will you set the timer, please? So,
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Chairman and Commission. My name is Kevin Wheeler. I live on 12215 East Teakwood Drive, just south of the proposed development on 122nd Street. My concern as a property owner and having lived there for a number of years is the traffic on 122nd and the situation we have with a huge dust issue. There's a section of road there that's not paved. And we know that there's an egress access out of this development onto 122nd. We know that's going to generate traffic for those residents that are coming out of that development and they're heading southbound. They're going to probably head down either Via de Palmas or Cloud, the next road to the south. Likewise, people that are coming back to return to the development that are heading up McQueen from the Riggs Road area are probably going to turn in either on Cloud or Via de Palmas to enter from that west side of the development. I have some pictures here to show you some of the issues with the dust control that I'm concerned about. Where do I place these?
staff, can
On
you
the
help?
square?
Just right there next to the Clorox sheet there. There you go.
Got it. This first picture is
Thank
a
you.
picture we took this afternoon of a car driving by through there to kind of give you an idea of the dust that we're talking about. This picture right here is looking the direction north from our house. This location right here is the corner of the Treeland Farm development. You can see there's a strip of dirt right here. This next picture is a little closer, which shows Via de Palmas, and here's the location, which is the corner of this development. Egress is probably right in this area right here. So our big concern is about traffic heading down this way or down further to Cloud. There's another close-up of that from that same intersection. And here is a closer look at the strip of dirt heading south on 122nd before it hits pavement again. And this is a wide road. This is a different situation than 124th. There's going to be a lot of traffic on this road. There already is. And just to reiterate, another picture of the dust taken this afternoon.
Any questions of the applicant, of the speaker? Sir, I do have one question. The roads you were showing, are those in the county? Are those county-controlled roads or?
It is in the county, but the county, we've talked to the county and they won't do anything about this. And I should point out that we called the senior planner, Lauren, over a month ago and talked about this concern with the dust and tried to find out the ownership issue and who should be dealing with this. And nobody will own up to it. So I feel like this development is just going to increase our nightmare.
I have a
I'll-
question. Yeah, through the chair.
Commissioner Rose?
Oh, Kevin, yeah, I'm real familiar with that, with your little area right there and that wood road that got developed. And didn't the builder have something to do with paving some of that, I want to say? This is-
Actually, the little bit of paving there is just from the property owners all chipping in.
Okay, yeah,
But the county did do Via de Palmas and they put speed bumps on there.
right.
Our control is now we have people that are driving very aggressively and dangerously through that dirt strip, not only kicking up dust, but, you know, endangering people that are
Yeah, with
riding
access
bikes
to
or
the
walking down the road.
proposed subdivision, definitely, you're gonna have people coming through via the Palmas to get to 122nd, so yeah, it's just,
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Staff, can I ask a question on those roads? Does the city of Chandler have any obligation whatsoever on county roads?
Chair, Chair Human, great question. No, I did talk to Mrs. Wheeler about a month ago. They live at the intersection of Teakwood and 122nd Street, and that's located within Maricopa County. The city of Chandler doesn't have any jurisdiction over 122nd Street. All of those properties south of Chandler Heights Road, it's an easement that runs across, every property has like a 30-foot easement that runs across the front of their property. and that's the road. And so that's probably why Maricopa County is not taking responsibility to those, because they would say that, technically it's their property. I have been trying to contact somebody at Maricopa County. I haven't had any luck on my end to see if I could get them involved with somebody with regards to traffic calming along 122nd Street.
But it would be the neighborhood would have to work with the county since it's not in the city.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next speaker I have is Rebecca Wheeler. You wish to speak, or you're good with your, okay. Thank you very much. You're opposed to the project, increased traffic on 122nd speed, dust control issues, okay. The next person I have is Teresa, I believe, Stoll. Sir, ma'am, if you'd like to speak, I need you to speak now, please, if you'd like to speak. Okay, thank you. Okay, Sherry Smith, would you like to speak? Okay, I'll just read your comments. Don't want a rezoning of density to increase. Should be 2.5. Okay, would also like the plan to be postponed to review the plan more, I think. Okay, thank you. You're opposed to the project. Ryan Smith, would you like to speak? Sir, Ryan, if you could state your name and address for the record, that'd be great, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commission. My name is Ryan Smith. I live at 12315 East Teakwood Drive. I've lived here for approximately 16 years. And the two things I'm really not comfortable with about this is the density of the homes in that area. I think it'll have a large impact on the lifestyle that has been lived there for quite some time. A lot of these concerns from my neighbors in the area, the fact there's so many houses going in will impact each of their concerns that much more by how many people will now be put into that area. The second thing which has been touched upon, which I think is very important moving forward, is the traffic calming on 122nd. I think that needs to be established. I think the county needs to be on board. There needs to be some things written and discussed that we'll be able to look back on or have in writing that will say this type of traffic calming can be accommodated and put in your area due to the increased traffic that this project will have on that area. So I think before it moves forward that the county should be involved and lay their thoughts out as to what can be done in that area for traffic calming.
Any questions of the speaker? Commissioner Epperly?
Through the chair, thank you for presenting. Has your group interacted with the county at all? Have you reached out to people and tried to get them involved in the process?
Can you
I'm sorry. Has your group as the neighbors, have you reached out to the county to involve them at all, or
I have not.
Share your concerns?
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really speaking on behalf of them, but I know because I live at the end of Teakwood, and when I enter on to 122nd, there is a lot of traffic I can see going by at high rates of speed. And that has, I can say that's increased because of the new development that has gone on the corner of Chandler Heights and McQueen. So within the last 4 months, I'd say, that's when we've seen the most impact from the traffic going through there. It's steadily getting busier just because there's more population around us, but that new property development has impacted it quite significantly.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions of the speaker? Ryan, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next speaker I have is Ken McAllister. Ken, if you could state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Ken McAllister, 24206 South 124th Street. Chair, thanks for giving us the opportunity to discuss some items. I've got three on my list. First, I would like to talk about the ingress-egress on 122nd Street. There's currently the plan states and shows that there will be two ingress egress, one on 122nd and one on Chandler Heights. There's two other subdivisions in this local area that only have one ingress egress access point in the development. One of them is a great development that was done by Mary Kay Homes, which is just down off of Chandler Heights and Cooper, just east of Cooper. And you can see that there is just the one ingress egress, but there is a fire access point, an emergency access point that comes out of the subdivision onto a county road. So that's one item or one development that has a single ingress egress. Here's another one that is being built right now down off of Riggs Road between McQueen and 124th. And on this subdivision also, there's a single access point, ingress egress off of Riggs, but yet again, it has a emergency exit out onto County Road. One of the things that I would like to see with this development is that the ingress egress on 122nd become a emergency exit only, which would then take away some of this issue with the road and the traffic going down 122nd. The second item that I'd like to talk about is the irrigation ditch. According to the PDP, there's not a single homeowner or user of that ditch that has given any kind of permission to do anything or change anything of that structure. With that being said, if we look at the ditch that currently serves our properties with water, it basically dead ends directly into this property back over on this area. This is the center line of the street roughly where I have it starred. If this road is developed, and we've learned some new information tonight that is first knowledge that we've ever had any information that there could possibly be a deferment or what that would even look like, we're requesting that this vote be, or this action item be deferred to another meeting so that we can have more understanding and information and knowledge on what that deferment would look like, what our options are as homeowners. I think it's too soon to vote on this tonight and to let it move forward without us having any more information. Same with you, same with the builder. There's things that we can work on and work together, which we have not been able to do.
Mr. McAllister, can you wrap up, please?
Yes. So I would ask that you would defer to the next session so that we can have some more information and work with the builder. Thank you.
Any questions of the speaker? Commissioner Club.
Through the chair. Thank you for your presentation. Do you know off the top of your head, and I don't have the information in front of me either, that's why I'm asking, the two subdivisions that you used in your presentation, how many lots are in?
Yes, I have that information. So this subdivision, which is south off of Riggs, there are 41 lots, and it is a 14-acre parcel. This subdivision that Mary Kay built, the PDP was approved in 2016. This acreage is 35 acres, so it's a larger parcel, and it has 84 lots. The subdivision that they're proposing right now is 86 lots. So it's two more houses, but it's more dense. It's a smaller acreage area. So that's why I am trying to put in the notion that there could be a emergency exit just on 122nd, because we have a proven build that Mary Kay has done before that has that same atmosphere, same structure to having a emergency only.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. McAllister, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next card I have is Elizabeth, is it Monje, M-O-N-J-E? Would you like to speak? Oh, you're opposed to the project, okay, thank you. And then Mark Monje, I think I got it pronounced right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Any other people like to speak on the item that didn't turn a card in? Okay, we're going to the applicant if you would like to address some of those issues, please.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Brendan Ray, 702 East Osborne, here on behalf of the applicant, Mary Kay Homes. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm more than happy to run through tonight if necessary, but I will probably pass on that since I know you guys had a thorough briefing at the study session, and Lauren touched on some of those items tonight. What I'd like to focus on really is a few things. One, as has been indicated, we have had numerous discussions with the neighbors to the south and the east as we've gone through this process. We have, including in light of the situation that we find ourselves in, having what I believe is the first virtual neighborhood meeting within the city of Chandler. It was well attended, so to speak, in that the number of residents that were there, some of which are here tonight, were able to voice their concerns. And a lot of the concerns that we heard then were reiterated at a subsequent on-site meeting that Lauren indicated we had a few weeks ago, as well as some of what was expressed tonight. The focus of those discussions had always been on 124th and an irrigation line running down there. The discussion tonight about 122nd, that's new to us. Again, and I can kind of walk through things a little bit, and I've got this up on the screen. It's probably the best exhibit I've got to kind of walk through it, but we've certainly worked hard to understand their concerns. Recognizing that along this process, we find ourselves playing in different sandboxes, and with apologies to the neighbors that heard this, I've got my zoning sandbox, and then I've got my engineering sandbox. And a lot of the questions relative to 124th and the irrigation line fall into that engineering type sandbox that, as staff indicated, comes much later on. In the zoning sandbox, I'm talking about the PAD, which establishes the land use, the PDP, which establishes conceptual layout, the landscape plan, the details of which come later as we get into the construction document phase. And we have assured the neighbors that we would continue to have that dialogue with them as we got into the more detailed portion of that phase. I can't get to phase 2, which is the engineering, until I get past phase 1. And that's why we're here tonight, is to talk about the zoning things. And so certainly the request is consistent with the general plan and the Southeast Chandler area plan as is detailed. So let me get a little specific. As it relates to 122nd, you can kind of see on here, and I'll do my best. I think I figured out how to kind of draw on this thing as I learn. For point of reference, that red squiggly line, if you can't really see it, I'll try to make it as best I can. That is Teakwood. This obviously is 122nd on the east, and Via de Palmas is identified there. So in terms of what we are going to be improving, and I'll try to do this, 122nd, that color doesn't show up for, so I'll stick with red. Oh, maybe I can make it, so. Apologize, I want to just make it abundantly clear. You can't really see the black, and that's going way bad.
We can see it.
You get the point, apologies. 122nd, we are improving from Chandler Heights all the way down to the south edge of our property line, down by that retention basin there in the south. That improvement will include the frontage of that out parcel that is not within our community. Meritage Development Orchard Heights, which is a development that I worked on, represented Meritage on, improved their half street. So we believe that the improvements that we are making per city requirements to 122nd are appropriate and actually make the situation a little bit better out there. As was indicated, I can't really control what's outside of my property. And so with respect to what happens south of there, as was indicated, that is within the county, but we are improving 122nd Street to make it so that it will be to city standards. With respect to kind of some of the other examples that Mr. McAllister brought up, One that he mentioned was America development was Hawthorne Crossing. That is east of Cooper along Chandler Heights. Hawthorne Crossing falls, this is an older aerial, but if I remember right, it falls over in this area. Is that correct, Ken? I get lucky every now and again. Hawthorne was developed and entitled actually by Terra West. Mary Kay bought that development after the land plan had been in place, after the entitlements had been in place. The only thing that they did on that one was process a PDP for housing product. So Mary Kay certainly was not involved in the design of that community, and we can't speak as to why there is the emergency access on the southwest side and the access onto this. I know as we've gone through this and as Mary Kay has looked at this particular development, we believe that the amount of traffic that is going to be exiting onto 122nd and especially heading south will be minimal. We believe with us improving 122nd, obviously the main access point onto Chandler Heights, that there are appropriate means of ingress and egress, and that people will take the road of least resistance, which is the improved roads that Mary Kay will be doing. Improving 122nd, the south half of Chandler Heights along our frontage will be improved as well. This is a gated community, and so that needs to be mentioned as well. With respect to 124th and the irrigation line on there, we understand the neighbors' concerns. As we visited with them and talked about it, one of the things that we became abundantly clear is you kind of look at this one to show it a little bit closer. Actually, I got a better one. I'll show you this slide. The piece that Mary Kay's outline is buying is there in kind of a yellowish tint, and you see a blue line on there. As is the requirement for most of the developments that I work on, irrigation rights and property, we are responsible, Mary Kay is responsible to ensure that that water delivery continues. Although this is a private irrigation line, and that water flows through there today, there's an irrigation line on Chandler Heights Road that we're going to be undergrounding as well along our frontage. But with regard to this line in 124th, as I've indicated on there, I'm more than happy to go on the record reflecting this now, and certainly council if necessary. But Mary Kay is responsible to ensure that the water continues down there. There is going to be an easement that's going to be dedicated on the final plat for that irrigation line that will ensure that the rights that exist today in terms of water flowing will continue to occur in the future. Additionally, and I've sent Mr. McAllister an email, but I'm more than happy to state on the record today that Mary Kay in the future HOA is going to be responsible for the maintenance of that irrigation line. Whether it's above ground, whether it stays in its current form, whether it shifts over, depending on the discussions on 124th, or whether it's underground, Mary Kay and the HOA will be responsible for that, and we will put provisions for that in the CCNRs as well. To ensure that that maintenance takes place. That was always our understanding as we visited with neighbors, and the concern that we heard about the undergrounding of that line was the maintenance. And if the maintenance responsibility was on the neighbors, how are they going to be able to go in and dig up a tiled ditch? And so we've eliminated that concern in terms of the maintenance aspect of it. Again, that's not something as staff indicated. It's kind of this irrigation matter is private property rights, but I'm more than happy, and Mary Kay has authorized me to be able to say that to you today. With respect to 124th, we understood the concerns of the neighbors. I know that the city understood those concerns when we were out there on site approximately 2 weeks ago. And we're continuing to work with them, continuing to talk with the city, and we're more than happy to visit with the neighbors to ensure that there's safe means of ingress and egress, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all concerned about, making sure that people are able to safely move through the city in an efficient manner. I know that's what the city wants. I know that's what Mary Kay wants. And I know that those discussions are going to continue to happen. But with respect to this zoning case and the entitlements, again, that zoning sandbox that we're playing in, this is consistent with the general plan, consistent with CCAP and the criteria in it. And we would request this body's approval in accordance with staff's recommendation. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions of the applicant? Okay, none? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question for staff. Kevin or Warren, maybe Kevin, you should answer this question. So in terms of the maintain the ditch, we defer this. I think we talked about this in the study session a little bit. Is there a way that CCNRs can get changed? Is there ways to put it into the deed or somehow into the documents that stays in perpetuity, that the HOA is responsible for it? I guess is the question. CCNRs can get changed. That's why I just want to make the assurance of that, that's all. So.
It's recorded on the plat.
Okay.
Yeah, we, through the chairman, just to dovetail, there will be language on the plat that ensures that the maintenance obligation bears with the underlying land.
And the reason why, when I hear CCNRs, I know how you can change CCNRs, so that's why I want to make sure that if all those neighbors all of a sudden said, hey, I don't want to maintain the ditch, don't want to pay for it, they couldn't be able to change it, that's all. Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, all right. Any comments from the commission on this item, or do I have a motion on the item? Kevin, you were going to read into the record, you stated in the study session, but I think in terms of the deferment and before it gets to council.
Thank you, Chairman. Kind of following that on-site neighborhood meeting, I've had this week more conversations than I want to even admit on 124th. City engineer and the development services director both agree that it's appropriate to defer the all improvement version of 124th. The conversations that happened as of yesterday were for even the folks that it would serve only folks in the county, but it may be appropriate to install a city water line in that roadway alignment to serve those folks. I don't know if this area is one of them, but many areas in the county, in the city right now, are having nitrite issues with their well water. And we've been trying to get the city services out so we can help folks get off of those things. It may be appropriate to consider putting just the water line in, or maybe the water and sewer line, maybe put that in. But they agree that it's appropriate to defer asphalt, curb, gutter, and all of that. And that's the part of the discussion that we just kind of, the questions got thrown out there Monday and yesterday. And we want to get those just kind of answered. Kind of to the applicant's point, we know the box, at least within the zoning box, the edges of it. We know where the property lines of all the back of the homes that back up to 124th are. We know where track widths are. If we had gone forward with do the improvements now, we know how much right-of-way we need. If we don't do the roadway improvements now, we know how much right-of-way we need. So we know those edges, and right now we're just simply working within those edges on the 124th alignment. But moving forward, they agree to defer it, but there may be pieces of it to put in that are appropriate in phase one.
When you talk deferment, if there's a monetary number, Mary would be putting some kind of a escrow account for the city, just like we do with a traffic light or anything like that, or a half-street improvement. So when it does get done, the money is sitting there to get done, correct?
Correct. And just simply for the record, the city's approach to offsite improvements has always been do them in phase one. Historically, the applicants, when they're doing all the other things that they're doing, have a certain buying power to get it done. And so they'll give us their estimates of what they would spend on that roadway. If the city comes to do it as a separate project through CIP later on at a future date, it always costs us more because we're not leveraging this other stuff around the project. So one of the things that we're engaging in the conversation with the applicant is coming up with a realistic number to have a lump sum payment for in lieu of those improvements. All of that stuff happens far down the engineering road after zonings, and even after the pre-plat. When they get into final plat, you're really starting to get into those details. That's all stuff that we will be working on with the applicant.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Okay, I want to close the floor. Comments from the commission, motion from the commission. What's your pleasure?
With no comments, I'll make a motion to approve PLH 19-0064 and PLT 19-0059 tree line.
we have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Clove, you look like you had a question.
Well, the only thing I wanted to add is, as part of, if we want to defer that road improvement on 124th as a separate item, aside from this PUD, should we separate that out now as part of this motion, or how should we handle that?
I asked the city attorney on that, or Kevin, one of the two.
Everything that's kind of within the right-of-way, outside of the property, the final property of the subdivision, isn't really up to the purview of the planning commission. So it isn't something that we could stipulate that we think that we need a 16-inch water line instead of a 14-inch water line. The deferral of improvements, what occurs in those improvements, that's entirely kind of up to city engineer and those type of things. So not something that we could stipulate. And even if we did, it isn't something that's enforceable on moving forward.
But wouldn't the irrigation ditch or new pipe, wouldn't that fall then onto the property and into the property boundaries?
It would fall within the private property stuff?
Correct.
Correct, it would, but it is a utility improvement and not a design aesthetic improvement subject to like a PDP step.
Okay.
Let me ask,
If I could add two, I know that we added two, passed out amendment with two additional steps. If we could get those read in as part of that motion, just
Sure.
for completion of the record, that would.
I do have a question though to the city attorney. In terms of the comments that were made, these will all be in the minutes for the to go to council, correct? So even though we're not stipulating anything, because it is basically, it'll be in the minutes for the council to, what we just talked about, deferment, things like that, correct?
That's correct, Chairman. The discussion here, council would be able to see that has been presented to the commission.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the comment from Kevin, would the motion maker and the second be willing to add in those two stipulations for the record?
Can I ask Lauren to read the stipulations in first, and then I can amend my motion?
Sure. Lauren, Kevin, somebody read them in.
Thank you.
Certainly. Sorry.
Too many pieces of paper.
All right.
Before you begin, Lauren, through the chair, do I need to officially withdraw my first motion then?
And you can amend the motion.
Right, so additional stipulations to be added under the preliminary development plan. Condition number 8, no more than two-story homes shall be built side by side for lots adjacent to Chandler Heights Road, as well as an additional stipulation number 2 to the preliminary plat. If right-of-way improvements are deferred along 124th Street, required width shall be reduced to 30 feet.
So I just need the motion maker to amend the motion to that, that's all, with those additional stipulations.
Motion to amend my initial motion to add the two stipulations Lauren just read into the record, number 8 and 9.
And the second, is that okay?
And I amend the second.
Great, okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner Everly, you look like you had a question.
Yes, I think this is a general question. It could be Brennan or Lauren, anybody. Will there be opportunities for our neighbors to engage in the process once we get past this point? Like once we get to the point where, a lot of their concerns have to do with items that come later. Is there an opportunity to engage them or to direct them to a county resource or however that needs to?
Through the chair, Commissioner Eberly, yes, there will be conversations. They continue to be had even up until about an hour before this meeting. We were still having conversations with surrounding neighbors. I know the applicant has been very open to provide information with regards to future plans for the irrigation ditch. And so I as Brennan just said.
Just to backstop, one of the things that we made it abundantly clear as we were on the on-site meeting a few weeks ago was the fact that there would be opportunities for them to participate. And I take a lot of pride in appearing before this body and the council and kind of what I say and what I do. And I know Mary Kay feels the same way about things that they've said and things that they do. And so we will ensure that there are opportunities to talk once we figure things out. Certainly, as I indicated to the neighbors, and I know Mr. McAllister knows how to get a hold of me, but the other neighbors as well, as I indicated at that on-site meeting, they have my contact information that was on the neighborhood letter. If they feel like they're not getting answers from the city or from Maracay, as Maracay gets into development and stuff like that, by all means, feel free to contact me, and I will more than track anyone down who needs to be tracked down. Additionally, the other opportunity that the neighbors will get to kind of check in, which is built into the process, is the PDP for the housing product that is still to come forward. Once Maracay gets that housing product designed, we'll file an application, we'll have another neighborhood meeting, we'll be before this body as at the commission and before the city council. Again, another opportunity for them to check in and ask where we are on some of these outstanding items. But certainly Maracay has a lot of developments in the Southeast Valley, prides itself on being accessible and wanting to work with their neighbors as much as possible. And so that will take place as we continue through the process.
Thank you. Any other questions? Before I go to, I just, to the neighbors over there, I think one of the things with the dirt and the dust and things like that, a former council member, Jack Sellers, who served on city council with me for 8 years, excuse me, is now the county board of supervisor for this district. So my recommendation on the dirt and the dust situations is to give his office a call directly. He's very where he lives, I think in Ocotillo, so it doesn't live far from this property, but I would contact his office if you're not getting anywhere with the staff from the county, but Jack's very receptive in terms of working with neighbors. So any further discussion? If not, I will go to a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So.
To the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack Sellers, Sellers. I don't have his phone number at the county, but he's one of the county board of supervisors. He actually represents this district. So he's very receptive, so, okay. With that, get my PC to work sometime. Okay, there we go. Nope, logged me off. It logged me off. It's fine. I can figure out the rest of it, so. Director's report.
Nothing this evening, with the exception that this will be the last time you see Lauren until September.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So we don't need her to come up and sing the fight song or anything like that? Okay, cool. Any comments from the commission? I just want to thank everybody. Thanks, like I said, at the start of the meeting, thanks staff. We are in trying times for this country, but the social distancing is important, and everybody please be safe out there. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Computer is